Nervous system, introduction. The nervous system is the body's rapid communication and coordination system. It receives information from the environment, processes it, and produces an appropriate response. It helps us sense, move, learn, remember, think, and control different organs. The basic structural and functional unit of the nervous system is the neuron or nerve cell, neuron. A neuron is a specialized cell that receives and transmits nerve impulses. It has three main parts: cell body, dendrites, and axon. The cell body, or cyton, contains the nucleus and other cell organelles. Dendrites are short, branched structures that receive signals and carry them towards the cell body. The axon is usually a long process that carries impulses away from the cell body. Some axons are covered by a myelin sheath. In the peripheral nervous system, myelin is formed by Schwann cells, while in the central nervous system, it is formed by oligodendrocytes. The gaps between myelin segments are called nodes of Ranvier. Myelinated fibers conduct impulses much faster than unmyelinated fibers. Types of neurons. There are three main functional types. Sensory neurons also called afferent neurons, carry impulses from receptors to the central nervous system. Motor neurons or efferent neurons, carry impulses from the central nervous system to muscles or glands. Interneurons connect neurons within the central nervous system. Structurally, neurons may be unipolar, bipolar, or multipolar synapse. A synapse is the functional junction between two neurons, or between a neuron and an effector. There are two main types: electrical and chemical synapses. In an electrical synapse, the signal passes directly between cells and transmission is very rapid. In a chemical synapse, the signal is transmitted using chemical messengers called neurotransmitters. When an action potential reaches the axon terminal, calcium channels open. Calcium enters the terminal and causes synaptic vesicles to release neurotransmitters. The neurotransmitters cross the synaptic cleft and bind to receptors on the next cell. This produces a new electrical response. Chemical synaptic transmission is generally unidirectional resting potential and action potential. When a neuron is not conducting an impulse, its membrane is in a polarized state. The resting membrane potential is approximately -70 mV. This is maintained by the unequal distribution of sodium and potassium ions, along with the selective permeability of the membrane. The sodium-potassium pump moves 3 sodium ions out and 2 potassium ions in for each cycle. When a sufficiently strong stimulus reaches the threshold, an action potential is generated. During depolarization sodium ions enter the neuron. During repolarization potassium ions move out. The membrane then returns towards its resting state. This is the basic mechanism behind the transmission of a nerve impulse. An action potential follows the all or none principle. If the stimulus reaches the threshold, an action potential occurs. If it does not reach the threshold, no action potential occurs. Saltatory conduction. In myelinated axons, the impulse appears to jump from one node of Ranvier to the next. This is called saltatory conduction. Because of this jumping movement, nerve impulses travel much faster through myelinated fibers. Human nervous system. The human nervous system is divided mainly into the central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system, or CNS, consists of the brain and spinal cord. The peripheral nervous system, or PNS, consists mainly of cranial nerves and spinal nerves. The autonomic nervous system controls many involuntary functions of internal organs. It includes the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. The sympathetic system generally prepares the body for stress or increased activity. The parasympathetic system generally supports rest, digestion, and energy conservation. Human brain. The brain is protected by the skull, meninges, and cerebrospinal fluid. The brain has three major divisions: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. The forebrain includes the cerebrum, thalamus, and hypothalamus. The hindbrain includes the pons, cerebellum, and medulla oblongata. Cerebrum. The cerebrum is the largest part of the human brain. It has two cerebral hemispheres connected by the corpus callosum. The cerebrum is responsible for thinking, intelligence, memory, learning, reasoning, conscious sensations, and voluntary movements. The outer layer is called the cerebral cortex and mainly contains gray matter. The deeper region mainly contains white matter. Thalamus and hypothalamus. The thalamus acts as an important relay center for sensory information. The hypothalamus is located below the thalamus. It plays a major role in maintaining homeostasis. It regulates body temperature, hunger, thirst, water balance, sleep, and aspects of endocrine function. The hypothalamus also controls endocrine functions through its relationship with the pituitary gland. Midbrain and hindbrain. The midbrain is involved in visual and auditory reflexes and movement-related functions. The hindbrain has three major parts: pons, cerebellum, and medulla oblongata. The cerebellum controls coordination, balance, posture, and precision of movements. The medulla oblongata controls important involuntary functions such as respiration, cardiovascular activity, swallowing, coughing, and vomiting. Remember, cerebellum means coordination. Medulla means vital involuntary functions. Spinal cord and reflex action. The spinal cord conducts impulses between the brain and the body. It also acts as an important center for reflex actions. A reflex action is a rapid and automatic response to a stimulus. For example, quickly withdrawing your hand after touching a hot object. The reflex arc follows this pathway: receptor, sensory neuron, CNS, motor neuron, and effector. This allows a rapid response, mainly through the spinal cord. Autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system controls many involuntary activities. It has two major divisions: sympathetic and parasympathetic. The sympathetic system generally prepares the body for stress or increased activity. It can increase heart rate and reduce digestive activity. The parasympathetic system promotes rest and digestion. It generally decreases heart rate and promotes digestive activity. Remember, sympathetic means stress. The peripheral nervous system, or PNS, connects the central nervous system with the rest of the body. It consists mainly of cranial nerves and spinal nerves. The PNS carries sensory information towards the CNS and motor commands away from the CNS. It also includes the autonomic nervous system, which controls involuntary activities like heartbeat, digestion, and breathing. In short, PNS connects the brain and spinal cord with the entire body. Human eye. The eye is the organ of vision. Important parts include cornea, iris, pupil, lens, ciliary muscles, retina, and optic nerve. The cornea allows light to enter and provides major refractive power. The iris controls the size of the pupil. The pupil controls the amount of light entering the eye. The lens focuses light onto the retina. The ability of the lens to change its curvature to focus on objects at different distances is called accommodation. Rods, cones, and retina. The retina contains two types of photoreceptors, rods and cones. Rods are more sensitive to dim light and are important for low light vision. Cones function mainly in brighter light and are responsible for color vision and sharp visual acuity. The blind spot is the point where the optic nerve leaves the eye. It has no photoreceptors. The fovea has a high density of cones and provides the sharpest vision. Human ear. The ear is responsible for hearing and maintaining balance. It has three regions: external ear, middle ear, and inner ear. The external ear includes the pinna and auditory canal. The middle ear contains three ossicles: malleus, incus, and stapes. Their sequence is malleus, incus, stapes. The inner ear is the innermost part of the ear and is responsible for hearing and maintaining balance. It mainly contains two important structures: cochlea, responsible for hearing. It contains the organ of Corti, which has sensory hair cells that detect sound vibrations. Vestibular apparatus, responsible for balance and equilibrium. It includes three semicircular canals, utricle and saccule. Semicircular canals detect rotational movements, while the utricle and saccule detect linear acceleration and head position relative to gravity. The eustachian tube helps equalize air pressure on both sides of the tympanic membrane. Organ of Corti. The cochlea is mainly responsible for hearing. Inside the cochlea is the organ of Corti. It contains sensory hair cells involved in hearing. The simplified pathway is sound waves, pinna, auditory canal, tympanic membrane, ossicles, cochlea, organ of Corti, auditory nerve, and brain. Vestibular apparatus star. The vestibular apparatus is present in the inner ear. It is responsible for maintaining balance and equilibrium. It consists of three semicircular canals, utricle and saccule. The three semicircular canals detect angular or rotational movements of the head. The utricle and saccule detect linear acceleration and help detect the position of the head relative to gravity. So remember, semicircular canals right pointing arrow rotation. Utricle and saccule right pointing arrow linear acceleration and head position. Together, these structures send information to the brain and help maintain balance, posture, and spatial orientation.